Mine's not. You can't hear it? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the February 6th, 2025 Subdivision Utility Advisory Committee meeting. Can we have the opening announcements, please?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant of a subdivision application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone.
Could we have the roll call, please?
Certainly. Bill Johnson.
Present.
Tony Zimbelman.
Here.
Bob Duell.
Here.
Jocelyn Klantz. Here. Joshua Blick is absent. Leon Mader.
Here.
John Williams-Bay.
Here.
Sir, I show 6 members are present, 1 member is absent, and neither of the alternates are here.
Okay, thank you. That'll take us to our first case today, which will be a vacation 2024-57. This was deferred from the January 15th meeting, which I think was deferred from the meeting before that. So this is a vacation request in the city to vacate McLean Boulevard right-of-way and drainage facilities on property zoned limited industrial. Can we have the staff report, please?
Yes, good morning, Subdivision Committee. Philip Zievenbergen with Planning Staff. You're correct. This was originally heard by the Subdivision Committee on January 2nd. It was deferred to the January 15th meeting with the identification of new information regarding the planned bikeway that was through this right-of-way. And then at the January 15th meeting, staff recommended to defer once again to give additional time to have conversations with other city staff departments as well as the applicant regarding possible alternatives. So here we are today with this request and a revised staff report. Just a reminder of background information. This is a public street right-of-way for South McLean Boulevard. Before then, it was actually an abandoned rail network that the city acquired in the 1980s. And the purpose of the deferrals and the future conversation, if you want to go to the bikeway network maps, please, is that the city's adopted bicycle plan identifies a bicycle network connection between through this right-of-way for a shared use path, which would ultimately connect the network within Wichita to the city of Hayesville. The total length of that planned network is 5.69 miles. And it would ultimately be along the Arkansas River to O.J. Watson Park and then across the Mitch Mitchell floodway down into Hayesville. In 2012, the City Council endorsed the Bicycle Master Plan, which recommended this former Midland Railroad right-of-way for the bike network. And again, in 2025, the city endorsed the bicycle plan, and it recommends that this continue to be part of the long-term bicycle network. However, it is not identified as a priority in the priority bike network in the 2025 version of the plan. In previous years, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board has identified the development of this bikeway as one of the top priorities to receive funding from the Capital Improvement Program. So 2 years ago in 2023, the 2023 to 2032 identified specific funding for this. However, in the 2025 to 2034, the Capital Improvement Program includes $6.8 million for bikeways and bike improvements. However, it doesn't identify specific projects on which one should receive funding. That could be interpreted that funding could be possibly be allocated for this project, but potentially not, since it's not necessarily a priority. Regarding review of what's included or what is, if there is any other types of conflicts other than the bikeway, there are no public utilities in the portion of the right-of-way. You can see that here. Sewer, water, stormwater does not conflict with this. However, if it is recommended for approval, if it is vacated, City Water identified a request to have a 15-foot water line easement in order to connect water through, specifically to allow for connections of water into this parcel here, and essentially help ensure their grid connections that they like to have for redundancy. That easement does not have to be in the right-of-way. The applicant could dedicate it elsewhere on their property in order to get water to this parcel as well. But again, that's only if the vacation is approved. They would like to see that. Evergy and Cox do not have any objections to it. There are no lines or equipment in the right-of-way. If they're found to be any equipment in for any improvements in the area, it would be at the applicant's expense. The vacation of the right-of-way would not deprive any property of any access. Okay, I was going to look at the map to identify some things. Hang on a second. So the unplatted property that's kind of in the middle to the west of the property does have access from the Sycamore Pond addition. There's Sycamore Street that dead ends into the unplatted property. There's also potential access from Lac Lead Street on the north end of it. So there is no issue regarding future access to properties within there. So did have conversations with the Public Works and Utilities Department as well as the Park and Rec Department. And overall, even though it's not a part of the priority bikeway network as identified in the 2025 plan, a staff recommendation for you today is to deny. The three departments are in agreement that it is easier to retain the railroad network right-of-way in order to construct the future bicycle and pedestrian shared use path there. A key point about that is this is the only abandoned north-south rail corridor in South Wichita that is available for a bikeway development. Where this becomes important is there could be bicycle facilities along street networks. However, this would provide an off-street option for development of a bikeway and connecting all the way down into Hayesville. We did have a conversation, excuse me, we did have a conversation with the applicant about this and came up with some alternative recommendations if the subdivision committee and ultimately planning commission and city council were to want to approve the vacation of the right-of-way. That instead of having a bikeway easement to go through the right-of-way based on their planned and anticipated use of the property that would connect across, it would not necessarily be advantageous to have an easement through there with the type of traffic and equipment and security fencing and things like that. So if it is approved, staff is recommending the dedication of an easement that would go up through the south portion of it, which they don't necessarily intend to utilize for an intensity of uses, and then follow the south property line around to the west and then around to the north, essentially bypassing their work area, then to be able to connect onto the north. It does take the network and kind of jogs, and is not the most efficient use regarding a connection for a bicycle network. But that would accommodate the applicant's request and how they want to utilize the property. Again, staff's preference would be to retain the right of way and have a less disconnected route through this area for when the bikeway is constructed. And again, I talked about a water line easement that would not have to be part of the right-of-way area. The applicant could dedicate it elsewhere on their property in order to satisfy Public Works' desire for future connection of water. And you do have some public comment on your desks. We received this from a representative of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Board, who are in support of the staff recommendation for denial to maintain the right-of-way for the future construction of the bicycle network in this area. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Okay, questions for the staff? Questions from the advisory board? Comments? None? Okay, we call the applicant or agent forward, please. You'll have 10 minutes and state your name and address, please.
Thank you. Jay Cook, Baughman Company, agent on behalf of the applicant. I do have the applicant here, Darren, who's the president and CEO of Red Guard, that is wanting to utilize this property. If there are any questions you have that are more specific than my skill set, I'll have him come up and answer those. Like Philip was saying, we had this item come up where we applied for this vacation and had a meeting in January and found out during that meeting that there is a proposed bike path down through this. A lot of the vacation cases that I do are very black and white, very easy to do. Just this one has a little gray area, and I want to thank Scott for working with us and city staff and setting together a meeting with us to kind of get an idea of what we could do. It seemed like he worked very hard to get some agreeants. Not to give Scott a big head or anything, but it was definitely nice to see staff not just rubber stamp a denial and actually talk to us. What we're wanting to do, this may sound a little crass, we do want to maintain our request as it is. And the reason for that is Red Guard is multi-million-dollar facility, multi-million-dollar corporation that offers blast-proof storage, on-site office storage, and through what I guess you'd call them pods would be the easiest word. And these, they're used in construction sites, but one of the bigger issues is they're used for military applications. So there's a lot of security and safety concerns that we have for any type of movement of this around, coming through this way. As Philip mentioned, anybody on the property, it becomes a security risk and a safety risk for that. What we would have on this side of the property is very heavy equipment that's putting over, what's the poundage of those pods, 60,000 pound pods that are going back and forth. The last thing that we want, and I know the last thing Red Guard wants, is to have some type of accident with this shared use of a bike path going through there, where hard to see in a forklift, a young child on their bike coming through there. It just doesn't make any sense for our development. So Tuesday, I sat through a city council meeting, and an award was given to the finance department for their tireless work on the budget that they presented for the fiscal year. And Mayor Wu from the dais stated that they sent out, a letter to the citizens of, the Wichitans, and said, what are your priorities for this budget? You had your obvious, we want to cut down crime and we want to fix roads, but an important aspect of it was economic development. Red Guard is wanting to develop, and Jeff Lang with Lang want to develop South Wichita for job creation, for a steady income of jobs, and a good tax base down there. Obviously, bike paths are important. We understand that this painstakingly goes through the process of planning and all that. And we don't want to deny access to a bike path. We just feel like an economic development use here over a proposed bike path that may not come for a very long time would make a little bit more sense from our standpoint. And again, that standpoint is basically safety and security of the facility. Philip mentioned the 2025 bike path. I'm not sure what it's called, that was approved by City Council, and I have a little bit of that information here. I know it wasn't provided to you, but according to the bike trip potential map that they gave, I'll just kind of hold it up, kind of show you how they did it. This area is very low for bike trip potential. Also in the bicycle network, or the priority bikeways, this is in the long-term bikeway network where a lot of the majority of the priority bikeway network is in the central business area here in downtown. They also had a table of 34 miles of bike path, the priority bikeway segment that they called, and none of them are remotely close to this. So it's not that we are championing the idea of not having a bike path. It's just, can we do this a different way? Will you go to the next slide, or maybe two down? Go down again. I want to get to the bike path. I think it was on here. Yeah, maybe that's it. If that can be opened, I don't. So that perfect. So this. Ooh, the other one was a little bit better for for what I was gonna state. We understand that there are ways that we could go around this bike path on our property. They're not very practical for what our use is, and we do have Seneca here, which is a proposed. I know it's on-street bike path, but would be a way to kind of go around our area to get back onto the bike path that is requested. So there is an existing alternative route for this bike path that we would like to see if there's possibility of getting that, as opposed to going through what we have as a large investment in the community and in the South Wichita community. I don't have much more than that, other than to request that, actually I do. If you'll go back, I hate to make you run, but go back to the first slide we had in the staff report. I want to talk about the water for just a second. My apologies. Okay, right there is actually perfect. So I know water would maybe be requesting a 15-foot easement coming here to give water to this unplatted portion. This is all owned by the same entity. They have water coming through, and there's actually water right here available for that at the end of Sycamore. So at this time, we would like to see if water couldn't be provided off of property that's already there, as opposed to cutting into an easement into our development. that's something we could be a little bit flexible on, but we believe that water coming off of this development could service all the way from Seneca over to these unplatted parcels here, because when they become platted, they need water. It can kind of just move to the east there. And unless, Darren, if you want to add anything, I believe that's my spiel. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
The correspondence we got this morning when we got here was from Bike Walk Wichita,
Right.
saying that they are now in agreement with this staff report, the current
Yeah.
one we're working.
Yeah.
And so that means they're in agreement with the denial of this. Does that
Correct.
take us back to the original request then, what you want?
The original request of what we want is what you have as the denial. Am I correct in that, Scott?
That's correct. Their request is still the same as it was originally, which is to vacate all of the city
Correct.
oversight of that, or city ownership or oversight of that property, which is shown in the outline there.
And you received a letter on the original time we were going to hear this from the same individuals stating that they would like to see, they're fine with it as long as we get it moved around that and in the same area. So I don't know if their stance has changed a little bit, but they've been in agreement with the denial today, and they've also been in agreement with us kind of shifting that around. So we understand what they're wanting to do. What we're kind of focused on is this is development, economic development, job creation right this minute. We can start as soon as you give us this okay, as opposed to a black bike plan that it doesn't seem like the city of Wichita, the council members, they're focused more up here in this area than in South Wichita.
Okay, well, I have a question for staff. If we vote to deny this, are we starting over at that point? And they'll have to come back and resubmit something?
Well, first, in a matter of procedure, this committee would make a recommendation to Planning Commission. So if you guys recommend denial, they would have the opportunity essentially to appeal to Planning Commission. And Planning Commission's recommendation is what goes on to City Council. So today is just a recommendation from you guys. My guess is if you were to recommend denial today, they would have it heard next week and have the full Planning Commission make a consideration. If it's ultimately denied, I would have to look to legal, because with zoning cases, they have to wait 12 months, but it's been a long time since we had a vacation denied. I would have to dig in to see if there's the same time frame. I don't think so off the top of my head. But we would work with them on whether or not, how long they would have to wait in order to request the same thing.
Okay. Other questions from the commissioners? Yes.
Previous presentations here that we went through this, I had the impression that you would be meeting with staff and try to work out a way to make this all work together to where we can get the bike path through.
Mm-hmm.
Did those meetings occur? Nothing come out of them?
Yes,
Is your
they
client
did.
is your client unwilling to change, or is what's going on?
I believe Scott held a meeting with just staff, internal staff first, to see what all the stakeholders thought. We had a meeting with Scott, my client, and then I don't remember the fellow's name from Parks. I don't know that it's relevant, but Scott did host a meeting with us. We took all that information in and understood where each was coming from, and we've talked about it kind of extensively. Our request for this, and again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but based off of security and safety that's required when you have contracts with, with military operations, we feel like what we're asking for is the best for our development. So we listened and tried to figure out what might be some type of consensus or some type of concession on our end. But even having bicyclers, young bicyclers going through here with a lot of heavy equipment, we just felt like let's stick to the original and kind of see what we can do from there. But we did have a meeting and it was productive, and I do appreciate Scott for doing that.
Other questions? The advisory board members have a question? Yes.
Matt Schultz, City Engineering. Just one comment concerning the water connection. If, we don't oppose coming from the Sycamore Avenue, but if you want to go that route, then a 15-foot utility easement would be needed across that property to
If you
access.
come from Sycamore, 15 would be needed down here. Okay,
Yeah,
that's unplatted and not our parcel, so I don't know how. I guess when the platting comes, I don't know.
it would have to be secured,
Okay,
from my perspective, before approving the vacation, but I'll leave that all to, that's my recommendations. We would need that easement, before, this would be fully approved.
Okay, thank you.
otherwise, where else would you need water to come from? If that is not agreeable, would it need to come down Laclede and over? How would you?
It looks like, there is on 50th Street through that Sycamore Pond addition. Yeah, just on the very south side of the.
So coming from here,
Yeah, an easement through there to.
okay, and that might be something we can work with, coming from here just to get to this unplatted parcel.
Yeah, and really, I don't care where it comes from. It just needs to be available
Okay,
somehow.
okay. And so you need either their agreement for a 15-foot, or if this is approved, our agreement on a 15-foot on this side to get it up there. Okay, okay. Thank you. It makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking coming all the way from up here. So I appreciate that.
And that's also a possibility
Right.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Mader?
So what I just heard was, right now you have an easement coming through with this McLean right-of-way. But if we were to vacate it, that would leave you with no easement at this time. And what you're really asking for is that second easement be worked out to go along with this approval, and we not do the approval without that easement.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
But there isn't an easement now for water in that area that's gonna be vacated, is there?
There isn't, because it's right of way. It effectively acts as an easement, even though
Okay.
it's not an easement.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams Bay?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm clear, or you're clear with the proposal to have the bike path on the south edge of the lot and then jogging back up north.
Coming, you mean
Yes.
into this? We understood, and that was something that actually Scott had recommended as an idea that we could do. It does jut out a little bit, but this will be fenced in. I think 6-foot fence with barbed wire as a secure mechanism for what we have over here. So we understand the request. However, it doesn't seem practical for the development that we want to do.
So I'm not clear on what happens to with the bike path then.
So I don't know if the photo's still up from the bike path going north of 47th would still be the same. And as she picks up that, we would hope to see it come over here to Seneca and be an on-street bike path just for that half block to get back up to this is kind of our thoughts and recommendation on an alternative path based off of what we're wanting to do development wise. And that would still offer Hayesville an opportunity to get up and back up into, I think that was the mayor's letter, was a nice path to get from Hayesville all the way up into downtown Wichita.
Is that blue dotted line an existing bike path right now?
That blue indicates a road. I'm gonna let you answer that, Scott, because I'm gonna sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. More so than I already did.
I can speak to this map, and then I will defer to Lee, who worked on the new map. But what it shows is an on-street facility, and I think that blue color is for bike lanes, but they do not exist. It's proposed.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. It's proposed, not there yet.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? All right. I'll bring it back to the commission. What's your pleasure? Yes, Commissioner Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the request for the vacation.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mader and a second by Commissioner Dool. Further discussion?
I want to make a secondary motion. I move to approve with the understanding, I feel like the bike path on going back to Seneca for a block is ideal. I would say the majority of people traveling from Wichita to Hayesville goes down Seneca. A bike path clear to the, over here, I would think, kind of leads into nowhere. So I'm all right with that. But I do want to have an easement or some agreement on the water line so we can get water to wherever it needs to go to the unplatted areas.
Okay, so can you state your motion specifically?
Move to approve the applicant's request with the understanding the bike path would be taken back over to Seneca. It would come across
Okay,
going south down in the narrower part of the vacation and then an easement for the water main.
okay. Have a second?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that area. Is that a Seneca 2-lane or 4-lane in that area?
Don't know. We're looking it up over here.
It's a 4-lane.
First of all, is there a second to Commissioner Johnson's motion?
Mr. Chair, before we second it, could we clarify, is that an easement that is approved by the city? Did you all come to an agreement on where that easement would be?
No, I don't think we have we're certain, but there's several avenues, and really, I think it's however they want to try to achieve that. As long as we have access to, we can get water down for access for that
Okay,
lot.
I just wanted to make sure that one was resolved.
Okay. So I didn't hear a second.
I guess I just make a comment. I don't know if that bike path ever come in existence. Yeah, it's talked about. So we leave something that maybe never be used.
Okay. Okay, since that motion died for lack of second, we will vote on the original motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Abstain.
That passed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1.
It'd be 4 to 1 to 1 because we have one
That's
abstention.
right, I'm sorry.
Yep.
4 to 1 to 1. Our next case is another vacation, case 2024-63, request in the city of platted right-of-way, generally located a half mile north of East 63rd Street South. Can we have the staff report, please?
Yes, good morning. Philip Zievenbergen again for the record. Vacation 2463 is a request to vacate a portion of East 59th Street South right-of-way located on the west side of South Hydraulic. And this is within a half mile north of East 63rd Street South. The East 59th Street right-of-way is constructed east of Hydraulic. And the purpose of the vacation is to take the unconstructed portion of it on the west side of South Hydraulic, and then it would be available to the applicant as private property. The applicant owns the property to the south. I think we have the plat detail in here. This part of East 59th Street South right-of-way was only part of the subdivision. It's a very small subdivision, the Mar addition. And so all rights of reversion go to the property owner to the south. If you go to the aerial map, please. In 1965 is when the Mar addition was platted, and it dead-ended into, at the time, unplatted property to the west. Then in 1978, the L.R. Stevens addition was platted, and that includes these properties down here. And at that time, you can see how Greenwood comes up from 60th Street, and then it curves in and becomes East 59th Street South. And so that right-of-way was dedicated in 1978 and obviously was established, and these properties have access off of East 59th Street South there. So there became no viable reason to have 59th Street continue to the west because it actually was established farther south. So this property, though it abuts the dead end of the right-of-way in question, it is not deprived of any access because it has its driveway and access off of East 59th Street South. And again, this property here was platted in a different subdivision and does not have any rights of reversion for it. The subject right-of-way was platted in this subdivision here, the Mar addition, and so all rights of reversion only go to this property owner to the south. This area here, I don't believe is platted, or if it is, it didn't dedicate any of the right-of-way either, and so they don't have any rights to that portion of the right-of-way. So suffice to say, no property would be deprived of access. There's no need to keep it there anymore because East 59th Street exists somewhere else. There are no public utilities there. There's a storm sewer inlet within the south right-of-way for hydraulic, but it will not be affected by this because the vacation essentially comes to the hydraulic right-of-way line and does not extend past that. So we're not losing any right-of-way where that storm sewer inlet is. Nobody has any objections. There are no franchise utilities in the requested right-of-way either. So essentially, if it's vacated, it will be tied to the property owner to the south and would be able to be used for their enjoyment and how they wish to develop it. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
All right, questions for staff from the commissioners? From the advisory board members? Thank you, Phil.
Evergy has no additional comment for the record.
Okay, with that, we'll call on the applicant or agent. You'll have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Michael Locke. I'm representing the applicant, Jose. Yeah, this is just a chunk of land that is,
Could I get your address, please?
oh yeah, I'm sorry, 6005 South Hydraulic.
Thank you.
The piece of land there has been taken care of by Jose for the last 3 years. It's not used for anything in particular, but he would like to have a clear and concise idea of where his property is. He is hoping to put up a security fence around the property because he has been broken into several times the last couple of years, and they've told stolen AC equipment and things like that. But yeah, since it's just a chunk of land in the middle of nowhere that's of no use to anybody, we're just hoping to be able to link it to the lot here and put a fence up around it and possibly build a garage or something like that in the future. And that's all I have, unless you guys have any other questions.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? Advisory board? None? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we approve this per staff comments.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got it 6-0. It brings us up to our subdivisions. The first one will be subdivision 2024-6, Courtyards at Jacobs Farm, second edition. This is north of 135th Street West and a quarter mile north of 4th Street. We have this is in the city, by the way. It says, can we have the staff report?
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present Courtyards at Jacobs Farm. This is a revised preliminary final plat for a 323 lot residential subdivision within the city. The original plat was reviewed last year in 2024, and that included 377 lots. And between then and now, they kind of revised the street layouts and removed some some lots. If you go to next screen, please. And then the next screen. This is the final layout. As you see in front of you on the screen, complete access controls are indicated along North 135th Street West with 270-foot full movement openings. There are quite a bit of waivers that will need to be obtained. The first waiver is for depth to lot width ratio for all lots in blocks 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8, and lots 57 through 105, block 6. These lots are 2.5 times the width of the lot. Should note that there may be some couple lots in between those blocks that meet the requirement, but just for purposes, just so I don't miss anything, just requesting a waiver for all the lots to waive that requirement. Waiver number 2 is a waiver to allow for platted streets with dead ends. Subdivision regulations state cul-de-sacs shall be provided with circular turnaround of width with a turning diameter of at least 70 feet and a street property line diameter of at least 100 feet. The proposed windbreak courts, which are included along the north line of the northeast corner of the subdivision, those do not have the cul-de-sacs. Should note that this approval of this waiver will be contingent upon City of Wichita Fire Department's approval, just because of emergency access issues. The third waiver that is needed is for no street stubs adjacent to unplatted property. Street stubs are required when adjacent to unplatted property to provide future access to adjacent unplatted track. Pro subdivision indicates fire apparatus roads to the existing Axarban Street to the north and to the unplatted property to the west. The proposed fire apparatus access roads only provides gated emergency vehicular connection to adjacent property and does not provide the public access as stated and intended in the subdivision regulations. Therefore, waiver is requested. The fourth waiver that is requested is for no temporary turnaround for substreets greater than 150 feet. These are the substreets along the proposed windbreak circle along the northeast corner of the subdivision plat. After review last week, there are 2 more waivers that should be needed, and those will be reflected in the final staff report, but I will go ahead and present those for your recommendation for approval. First waiver that be added is to allow for a no parking border area for the platted 30 feet right-of-way widths of Windbreaks Court. These parking areas are required to be 14.5 feet in width from the back of curb to the property line. The parking areas are used for installation of utilities, street lighting, traffic control devices, fire hydrants, sidewalks, landscaping, and to provide transition area and grades between the roadway and the property adjacent to the right-of-way. Border areas for suburban areas shall be variable in width based on drainage needs. The proposed 30-foot platted street right-of-ways do not adhere to this requirement. The other additional waiver is to reduce the right-of-way widths for the platted 30 feet right-of-way widths of the said windbreak courts. The narrowest right-of-way per the subdivision regulations is 32 feet wide with a 15-foot street drainage and utility easement and a 5-foot building setback on each side of right-of-way. Once again, this approval will be contingent upon the City of Wichita Fire Department's approval to make sure that the road width is sufficient for emergency vehicles. Go through staff comments. Item A, City of Wichita Public Works requires water and sewer, extend all lots. Fees are due. Just a note to watch out for water phasing, only 6 fire hydrants on a unlooped 8 line, a 24-foot water transmission line running north and south along 135th Street is being constructed. Project will need to be released before connections are allowed, and a 24-inch sanitary sewer main will need to be constructed before this plat is served Wichita. Lots 8 through 58, lot 6, needs some clarification on pavement widths, sanitary sewer. Couple of easements are requested. Item B, city stormwater management. I did receive notice that the drainage plan was submitted on the 28th of January and approved on February 3rd. Item C, city fire. Item 3, plan not approved. Wichita Fire Department understanding was tapered alleys to meet 150-foot hose stretch as Morning's subdivision. It's my understanding that the applicant has been in talks with City Fire in the past week, and City Fire and applicant can kind of address those issues after the presenting of this report. Item D, traffic engineering, has no comment. Item E, County Public Works states that 135th Street is in the process of being annexed by the city of Wichita. Item F, standard city environmental health comment regarding irrigation wells. Item G, GIS approves of street names. Item H, Planning Department, just a reminder that swimming pool needs to be designed, needs to be submitted and approved by Health Department. There is the Wichita Bicycle Master Plan indicates a bike pedestrian shared use path running through this property. Standard for such subdivisions that a 20-foot wide public access easement shall be created and dedicated for shared use pedestrian and bicycle path as part of the subdivision plat. However, when this plat was submitted the first time around, it was agreed upon with planning staff and the applicant that a public access easement be allowed to be provided and dedicated by separate instrument at the time the location of said path is determined. Item I, county surveyor, direct comments directly to consultant. And item J, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will need to request additional easements. At this time, those have been presented to the applicant and proposed streetlight placement to be approved by traffic engineering. And with that, I would stand for questions.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? Advisory board comments?
Randy with Evergy, no additional comment.
Matt Schultz, City Engineering. In discussions with MKEC concerning lots 8 through 55, Block 6, the northeast lots, we have been talking about how to get sanitary sewer to these. We are looking at installing sewer in the rear of the lots, which would require 20-foot rear lot easements. And then also a 25-foot easement. Normally we would request just 20-foot for sanitary sewer, but we've also requested water to be looped through that reserve, which sanitary sewer and water would require a 25-foot easement.
Okay.
Lee Carmichael, Traffic Engineering, the streetlight placement has been approved, so.
Okay.
Chief O'Katy's Wichita Fire. I'm aware that the agent along with the fire marshal have been in discussion. I would like to request a set of plans with the revised agreements to make sure that the agreements are per conversation.
Mr. Chair, for City Fire, is that for all of the issues, all the waivers and for C.3? C3?
Yeah, we'll just review the whole plat itself and be able to address all the waivers, including the additional waivers also.
All right. No more comments. We will call on the agent. Please state your name and address. You'll have 10 minutes.
All right. Good morning. Joey Denicky, MKC, 411 North Webb Road, agent on behalf of the applicant. As mentioned earlier by Greg, we took this plat earlier in 2024. It was approved at Planning Commission. However, after further review with the developer, they kind of wanted to redistribute some of the lots around, just kind of looking at the market. However, the layout is pretty similar to what was previously shown. I will mention they kind of have that front load single family product that you'll see kind of at Estancia or Auburn Lakes. They elected to kind of have more of that product on this plat. Also doing a rear load and alley focused single family as well. And we kind of reduced that number. We have a block to the south, as you can kind of see, as well as to the west. And then similar before, there's a single family attached unit. There's 2 units that are attached. They kind of reduced the number of those units, and primarily they're at the northern edge. But we tried to adhere to the same requirements that were previously presented. And with that, that's why we're kind of asking for the same waivers and modifications as we got approved last time. As mentioned, we did work with engineering staff. As far as utility routing, I think we're kind of under a same agreement that we'll provide those easements where they need them, and we'll provide that utility routing is kind of how we kind of come up with. And working with fire as well, and I think we're mostly kind of in agreement. We're going to get with them to understand where these tapers need to occur, but I think we're working with them, and we'll try to continue to work with them and understand where they want them and be able to provide it to them. So, and with that, I just welcome any questions.
I do have a question. I guess there has been a drainage plan submitted, but it says it's not approved. Is it approved or not?
No, it's approved.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the commissioners? So you're in agreement with all of these comments that are going on. I'm kind of thinking this shouldn't have been brought in yet. There's so many open things here. You got a couple of added waivers that we didn't even get sheets on those to talk about them. So I'm just asking you, are you aware of all of this stuff, and are you in agreement with it?
Yeah, and as previously mentioned, these waivers were addressed at the original planning commission with the other plat. I could be mistaken, but I believe a lot of the waivers that Greg brought today, I think they were a part of the last submittal, and we were accepting to those waivers as well. So we don't see any issues with those. I think the only one that we're not in agreement with is Fire had a comment about it not being approved, but I think we're working with them. So I think we're getting to an understanding on that. So with that, we are accepting to, working with them so we can provide them what they're kind of needing, because we just kind of been receiving indication of what they're wanting, and we just need to be able to look at it, and we'll continue to work with them.
Was there never any work started on this on the original plat that we looked at?
Yes, there was, and we had similar talks about some of the alley widths and things like that. Now this layout slightly different, just with entrances and things like that. So again, there may be some additional concerns that Fire may have, and we just need to kind of understand what they're after.
Okay, thanks. Other questions? Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, bring it back to the commission. Silence.
Mr. Chair, before we move forward, maybe we just summarize. We now have 6 waivers, and they're in agreement to meet with fire and reach an agreement on those remaining issues that fire is requiring. I'm just summarizing just for the motion.
And I guess, if I could, sir, I think I would add also that when it comes to fire, Jose, what fire is requesting is that simply the graphics, that the drawings be updated to ensure that they reflect the agreement that the fire official and the applicant have reached on a variety of different things. Is that correct?
That's correct. And also to be able to address those 2 additional waivers, just to make sure that they do comply with the code requirements.
Okay. So what you're requesting is you would like to see updated graphics that would show that. And then when it comes to utilities, it sounds like there are additional easements or changes to the easements that would be needed for the utilities. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And those are not shown on the current graphics?
Correct.
Okay. So if I recall, it sounds like those are the 2 outstanding items. Is that anything else? Okay. So then the question I think that confronts the subdivision committee is whether or not you want to see those revised before you consider it, or if you would like to approve it subject to those changes and modifications being made, and so they can be presented at the MAPC meeting.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
This is a staff question. If we approve this with the understanding they have to work this out, would we require them to have that done before it comes to full planning commission?
Yes, sir. Depending on how you make the motion, but I think it is possible to make that motion and to say that we don't place it on the MAPC agenda until we make sure that we get both fire and utilities to sign off on it. Because what I don't want to do is have everyone say, yeah, we're in agreement, and then the documents come in either after the agenda goes out or something like that.
Okay, with that said, I'll move to approve with the understanding, got to work out with the fire department and the utilities, and will not go to the full planning commission until that's been okayed by both fire department and public works.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, a second by Commissioner Williams-Bay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Next case will be Subdivision 2025-5, preliminary plat on Meridian Village Edition, located east on South Meridian Avenue and a quarter-mile south of West 55th Street. It's in the city. Can we have the staff report, please?
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff here to present Meridian Village Edition. Next screen, please. This is a preliminary plat for a 444 lot residential subdivision within the city. Next screen, please. Do you have a next screen? Is there a plat of the overall? Okay, so there are complete access controls provided along South Meridian Avenue with 3 64-foot openings. There is one waiver that will be required. The applicant requests lot depth to width ratio for lots 41, 42, block 6, and lot 8, block 21. Go through staff comments. Public Works and Utilities requires water and sanitary to all blocks. Fees are due. A utility plan is requested with sanitary sewer depths. Additional easements may be requested once it has been reviewed. And request information regarding access to sanitary sewer for this plat. Item B, County Public Works Any modification in the existing storm sewer in Meridian will require a highway permit. Advises applicant shall guarantee closure of existing driveway. The County Public Works approves of the connections to the north, south, and east, and recommends 75 foot of access controls along streets connecting to Meridian. Item C, I did get word from City Stormwater Management that drainage plan was submitted and revised on February 4th, 2025, and that should be finalized within the next week. Excuse me. Item D, City Fire Department approves of the plat and has no additional comments. Item E, Traffic Engineering request traffic common elements will be needed for all streets. We'll work with the agent on details. Openings and access controls are approved. GIS request proposed Jacob is too close to the existing Jacob Street and name to be revised, and they recommend name change to Hickman Street. Item G, standard comment regarding irrigation wells. Item H, just some notes that need to be added to the platter's text. Item I, county surveying, just needs some dimensions, missing street name changes. And item J, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will need to request additional easements. Those have been forwarded to the agent. Street light placement to be approved by traffic engineering. Engineering transmission has a 138 kV transmission line within the platted area. They clearly show our easement on the one-step final plat. Transmission markup with comments have been forwarded to the agent. So with that, I will stand for questions, and I will remind the committee that this is a preliminary plat, so a lot of these issues will be addressed when the final plat by the time the final plat be submitted, and also most likely the requested utility drainage plan or the utility plan will be submitted, and those easements will be shown on the final plat. So with that, I stand for questions.
Questions from the commissioner? Advisory board?
Transmission engineering also wanted to pass on a reminder that any site plans for not limited to final grading, landscaping plans, road and street lighting plan be forwarded to them, since this runs right through the middle of it. Our easement's right there and our poles. They just want to make sure that they aren't putting anything in the easement.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, we'll call on the agent. You have 10 minutes. Name and address, please.
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering, 117 East Louis. We're fine with all the staff comments. We will, one of the questions had to do with like sanitary sewer. We're going to end up having to put a lift station in. It'll be at the south end of the property. I've met with Sean a couple times on this. We'll get everything finalized on that. We will be extending water up Meridian Street that'll feed this property. And the property to the north up here is in the planning stages right now. I've met with them. We'll end up moving this somewhere over into here to tie in with them. So those all loop together. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for the agent? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, bring it back to the commission.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, including the waiver per staff comment.
Okay. I'll second that. Motion by Commissioner Klontz, seconded by Commissioner Zimmelman. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Next item is subdivision 2025-1, one-step final plat for Blue Sky Crossing Edition, located on the south side of West 87th Street South, third of a mile east of South 119th. It's in the county. Staff report, please. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present Blue Sky Crossing Edition. Next screen, please. This is a one-step final plat for a 6-lot residential subdivision within the county. Next screen, please. All right. There are complete access controls are included along 87th Street South with one 40-foot opening, and a 75-foot contingent street dedication is included for potential future extension of the proposed LAC land to the south. So that is running along Lot 3, the contingent road dedication. There will be 2 waivers that are requested. The first one is lot depth to width for lots 5 and 6, and also a waiver from the requirement to provide a street stub to unplatted property to the south. Go through staff comments. Item A, this is in Sedgwick County Rural Water District number 4. If feasible, connection is recommended and soils work needs to be completed before approval memo is issued. Item B, County Stormwater Management did get comments that they have approved the drainage plan. Item C, County Fire Service Drive code and fire code amendments will need to be complied to. Item D, County Public Works, they request 75 feet of complete access control along LAC land south of 87th Street. States easements of right-of-way need to be dedicated at the northwest corner of Franklin and LAC land to accommodate visibility and drainage at the intersection. GIS comments that Franklin is already established road and a new street name is suggested. Item F, Planning Department, just some platters, text notes, and platters text revisions, and utility dedication to be removed from platters text if no utility easements are proposed. Item G, county surveying, no comments at this time. Item H, the plat is not served by Evergy distribution and no transmission in the near the area. And item I, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op will need to request additional easements at this time. Those have been forwarded to agent. And designated utility easement to stay out of the way of any roads or driveway is desired. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Yeah, I didn't hear you. On the drainage plan, has it been approved now?
Yes, drainage plan has been approved.
Other questions for the staff? Comments from the advisory board? Okay, thank you. Call on the applicant or agent. 10 minutes, and please state your name and address.
Good morning, Logan Mills with Certified Engineering Design, 1935 West Maple. We're in agreement with staff comments, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? Thank you. Bring it back to the commission. Anybody else want to speak on that? Oh, I'm sorry. You're good at that. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, she does something. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and please state your name and address.
Donna Tibbetts, 7620 South Ridge Road. I am the clerk of Ohio Township, and we are concerned about the people who buy these lots, what kind of culverts they plan on putting in. They should contact the township, not their developer. So that was our main question about it. And I have a personal question about it. With all these waterways going through, where will these people put their lagoons? That's all.
Could you state the last question again, please? I'm sorry.
With all the waterways in this development that are showing, where will people put their lagoons? Because that part of the county, we require lagoons.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay, the agent will have time for rebuttal. And you'll have 2 minutes.
Yeah, Logan Mills with Certified Engineering Design. The drainage plan we've been working through with Scott Lindebeck, and we've got approval on that. So culvert sizes will be, they've already been figured out as part of that. As far as the lagoons go, I mean, I don't know which lodge exactly, probably 4 and 5 that she's concerned about there. But again, Tim Wagner and all those guys have looked at this, and they'll be approving where we put them. There should be plenty of room. So with that, I'll stand for any other questions.
Thank you.
Daniel Schramp with Sedgwick County Public Works.
Yes.
I'll just add that once the road is complete, the individual lot owners will get insurance applications through Sedgwick County Public Works. And then we size the culverts, and we do reference the drainage report. So that's where the size comes from. And so that will follow that ordinary process. And MABCD is very good at directing developers when they try to pull a building permit to us to make sure that they get the correct permit for their culverts.
Thank you. Back to the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve per staff comments.
You can second. Including the waivers and all?
Including the waiver.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Johnson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Duell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes 6-0. Before we go on to the next one, are you still wanting to abstain, Commissioner Williams? Okay. We had a little problem getting the plats out to the commission members. And so Commissioner Williams Bay has not seen these last 3 or 4. So he's going to abstain from voting on these. So the next case is Subdivision 2025-2. One-step final plat for the Baker family subdivision, west side of North 343rd Street, a half mile south of West Street. This is in the county. We have the staff report, please.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present the Baker family subdivision. This is a 2-lot residential subdivision in the county. Next screen, please. And next screen, please. Access to the site will be provided along North 343rd Street West with one 40-foot opening per lot. There will be one waiver requested, and that is lot depth to width ratio for proposed lot 1. Go through staff comments. MABCD notes that soil work has been completed and a memo is ready. Item B, county stormwater management. I have gotten word that the drainage plan has been approved. Item C, county fire service drive will need to comply with service drive code and fire code amendments. Item D, county public works states access controls are approved and approves of the proposed right-of-way dedications. Item E, I did receive a revised plat and all of planning comments have been approved. Item F, county surveying has no comments at this time. Item G, Evergy, the plat is not served by Evergy Distribution. Transmission is near the area but has no conflict. Item H, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op will need to request an additional easement at this time. That's been forwarded to the agent. And item I, Phillips 66, should not have conflict, but does have a system run on the east side of 359th Street, so any utilities that would feed from that side could be a conflict. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Okay. Questions from commissioners? Advisory board members? Nope. Okay, thank you. Call on the agent or applicant. You will have 10 minutes and we need your name and address.
Good morning. I'm Bill Fox with Garber Surveying Service. We're the surveyor for this plat. The only thing I would say is that
Could I get your address, please?
Sorry, 544 West Douglas, Wichita. We have added a floodway reserve to the plat based on the final drainage plan. Other than that, I have no other comments for you. Stand for any questions.
You agreed with all the rest of the staff comments?
Yes, we agree with the rest of the staff comments.
Any questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? See none. I'll make a motion that we approve per staff comments.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Zimbelman, a second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That will pass 5-0-1, I guess, right? Our next case is subdivision 2025-3, one-step final plat for the Northeast Substation subdivision, located east along North Woodlawn Boulevard and a half mile south of East 21st. Can we have the staff report?
Morning, Greg Sharon. Planning staff present the Northeast Substation addition. This is a one-lot industrial subdivision located within the city. The subdivision is associated with case PUD 2425, which is its own change request from SF5 single family to PUD to create the Northeast Substation PUD number 136 to expand existing electric substation. Next screen, please. There is one waiver requested, and that is lot depth width ratio for the proposed lot 1. Go through staff comments. Item A, 2 sanitary sewer easements running north and south will need to be increased to 20 feet to meet current standards centered on the sanitary sewer lines. Water is available for connection on Woodlawn, and sanitary sewer is available for connection on the 8-inch sanitary sewer line. Item B, revised comment that the drainage plan was submitted on the 29th of January, and comments to be addressed for approval of February 5th, 2025. That comment is in the 10% rule calculation, 30% of existing impervious area is not applicable. That is related to water quality. Remove that element from your table on the diagram, on the drainage area map, and add PE silt to drawing and PE stamp both the pre and post development maps. Item C, City Fire approves of the plat, no additional comments. Item D, traffic engineering will require 60 foot of right of way along Woodlawn to be in accordance with the arterial road requirements. Item E, standard irrigation comments. Item F, floodplain shall be delineated on face of the plat, some revisions and additions to the platter's text is needed. County surveyor, item G, county surveying, gas line pipeline needs to show on plat and confined easement. Sewer easements need to locate along the boundary, revised dedication signatures. And item E, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will not need to request additional easements as we are the applicant. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? And advisory board?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. There's been some misunderstanding between myself and my colleagues in substation engineering. I think they thought I was going to be the agent for the applicant, which I am not qualified to do. And I didn't realize that until today.
I'm here. I'm sorry. You're okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yo.
Apologize for being late. Are you ready for my piece then? Okay, perfect.
Are you the applicant?
Yes.
Agent?
Yes. So my name is Jade Lasser. I work for Evergy. I'm the civil engineer, 800 South Kansas Avenue, Topeka, Kansas. As stated, I'm the civil engineer on the project, and we are working to address all of staff comments. I will say that we have a couple details to follow up with Public Works, traffic engineering, and the county surveyor, just to go through some of those details and find a solution within some internal Evergy pieces and them.
That it?
If no questions, thank you.
Don't go away. You might have a question here.
I thought, oh.
You might have
Questions, please.
For the applicant or agent? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this? See none, bring it back to the commission.
I got a staff question.
Pardon? Yes.
Philip, were they still working things out? Does this need a deferral or not?
Typically, what we've been able to do is follow, like you can approve subject to something getting finalized, and then we follow up before planning commission. And then if it's not worked out by planning commission, then we'll recommend that it's deferred to a future planning commission case until it's worked out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have a motion?
Mr. Chair, could we clarify with the city on the drainage plan?
Joe Hickle, City Stormwater. The drainage plan's been reviewed and has very minor comments that they're working on that they just have to submit to me. I expect full approval prior to your meeting next week.
Okay.
I'm going to move we approve according to staff comments.
Okay. Have a second?
Mr. Chair, does that include the waiver?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Mader, second by Commissioner Dool. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No, I just wanted to make sure it was not going to go to the full planning commission till the items were.
Okay, so you voted aye? Yes.
Yeah.
That passes 5-0-1, I guess, again. Before we go on, the motion I made on the previous case, I don't know if I included the waivers in that, but let the record show I do include the waivers on that motion.
Kirk Sponson, W County Councilor. I think that was assumed per the approval. It would have necessitated the approval of the waiver as well. With that said, since it has been brought up, if you just want to take if you want to re-raise the item now and just, I think, retake the vote, it might be the cleanest at this point.
Do I have to, or do you want me to?
It would be my preference now, since you've re-raised it, that we do it now. Just, is there a motion to to re-raise the prior item 7 with the Baker family subdivision. Is there a motion? And then if so, it would be same motion as previously heard, but with verification of the modification waiver.
Okay, can I make the motion? Probably not.
You certainly can, or if you want to, I can make the motion now and you can adopt my motion. Okay. If that would be your preference, it would be, I would move to re-raise item number 7 concerning the Baker family subdivision.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. And is there, if we could do a vote on that re-raise motion quickly?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, now that it's passed, the motion would be the same as previously heard, but with the clarification that the modification waiver was included as part of the original motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Our next case is subdivision 2025-4, one-step final plat for the northeast sub-yard located at K96 and North Hillside, basically. This is in the city. Can we have the staff report?
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present northeast sub-yard addition. This is a one-lot industrial subdivision located within the city. Next screen, please. There are no waivers requested by the applicant. Go through staff comments. Public Works and Utilities requires water and sewer, sanitary sewer to be extended and requests a 20-foot utility easement running east and west on the north side of the plat. Item B, County Public Works states 33rd Street North is in the process of being annexed by the city of Wichita. Item C, revised comment drainage plan was submitted on February 4th and has been approved on February 5th. Item D, city fire approves of the plat, no additional comment. Item E, traffic engineering has no comments. Item F, city environmental health standard comment regarding irrigation wells. Item G, some relabeling of streets, signature for the city clerk needs to be revised. Note needs to be added regarding groundwater and grant of access control to be included in platter's text. Item H, county surveying says advises show complete access control along the south line of the plat, and all monuments used to establish the plat boundary need to be shown. And item I, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will need to request additional easements. Those have been forwarded to the agent to be put on the final plat. And so with that, I will stand for questions.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? Advisory board?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Okay. All right, thank you. The applicant or agent, you have 10 minutes.
Good morning. Rebecca Melius, PEC 303 South Topeka, agent for the applicant. We're in agreement with staff comment. I will just share that the city of Wichita, who's requesting this plat, is working with City of Wichita Public Works on the details of the limits of the extent of the water and sewer, but we'll get that all squared away here really quickly. So no objection to that. And then we've not received the Evergy markups, but we'll work with staff to get those incorporated. So we'll be good. Thank you, Rondi. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions for the agent? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none? Bring it back to the commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve per staff comment.
Okay. I'll second. Okay, thank you. Motion by Commissioner Klontz, second by Commissioner Mader. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 501 again. Our last case of the day will be subdivision 2025-6, one-step final plat for the Wildflower Addition. It's in the county at East 85th Street North and North 143rd Street East. Can we have the staff report, please?
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff here to present Wildflower Addition located on southeast corner of 143rd and 55th Street. Next screen, please. This is a one-step plat for a 6-lot residential subdivision in the county. Next screen, please. The plat shows complete access controls along East 85th Street North and North 143rd Street East, with 3 openings along East 85th Street North and 4 openings along 143rd Street East. There are no waivers requested by the applicant owner. Go through staff comments. Item A, MABCD, this is in Butler County Rural Water District Number 5. If eligible and feasible, recommended connection. Soils work needs to be completed before approval memo is issued. Item B, stormwater management has approved the drainage plan unless access control drive entrance locations change during the planning process. And also note that lots 1, 2, Block A shall have minimum pad elevation table on the face of plat and noted in platter's text. Item C, county fire comment regarding compliance with service drive code. Item D, County Public Works request right of way at the section line road intersection be revised to provide the width as required per subdivision regulations. Request access controls meeting county standard. Recommend lots 2 and 3 share an access, lots 1 and 4, and lots 5 and 6 share an access opening. Subdivision regulations discourage use of flag lots. States portions of lots 1 and 2 shall be located within a floodway reserve, and states opening is misspelled 3 times. And item E, planning department, lot 6 does not comply with the 200-foot minimum lot width. Therefore, setback shall be platted where the 200-foot lot width can be established. Minimum building pad elevations need to be included, and the FEMA platter's text shall be included. Item F, county surveyor. Property corner monument needs to be set at the northeast corner of lot 3, Block A. And item I, most of the plat is located in Butler County REC territory, approximately in the south. 50 to 75 foot only will be in Evergy territory, but will need more details to know for certain. And only if customer on lot 6 would put a meter in the south, 50, 75 foot of that lot would qualify as an Evergy customer. We believe we can work through this with Butler REC later. If it becomes a concern for Evergy, could turn the customer over to Butler County Rec for economic reasons if this becomes the case. And we would have to review those details at the time and determine if we want to commit to giving up Evergy rights. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Right, questions from the commissioners? Advisory board comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Daniel Schranz, Sedgwick County Public Works. No additional comments. I just want to stress the importance of access controls in our comments on that particular item.
Okay, thank you. Call the applicant or agent forward. 10 minutes. Name and address, please.
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering, 117 East Lewis. I'm the agent. We're fine with staff comments except for the access control. A couple things. Item number 1, where they're requesting 75 feet for turn lanes up there. You know, we've already said we'll give them the 60 foot on our side for right of way, which then you add another 60 on their side. You have 120 foot right of way. And the reality is this far out in the middle of nowhere, it's gonna be a long time before it ever gets there. And if actually development moves that way rather quickly, then these lots, whoever owns them would probably break them up into multiple lots. I mean, these are 5-acre lots. So they'd probably break up into multiple lots, and then access would all change because, you know, of the sale of the lots, they'd have to replat them to make them into multiple lots. As far as the access control, we've shown access control for most of the lot except for here. I mean, we came in and tried to separate them the best we could with the lot configurations, where we have access there, access there. This lot is divided, this lot 1. So we showed access up here as far away from the intersection as we could outside the floodplain. Same thing on this side. And, you know, they'll only build on one side, but whoever builds, we don't know where they're gonna wanna build, whether they wanna be up here or down here. I don't know if maybe we could put some note on the plat that would make county surveying happy, saying one access on either there or there for this lot, as opposed to having both accesses there. And then we showed access, just one opening here, one here, and then the one down here. Like I was saying, you know, this is a long ways out there, and this, if somebody did go out there, it'd all redevelop. And you look at the way things are going right now, they're tending to come in with narrower streets rather than wider streets. 120 foot right of way, it's basically you know, 6-7 foot or 6 or 7 lane wide roadway out here at 143rd and 85th Street. So, I mean, we'll give them the amount they need for the 60 foot because it's arterial street and that's the standard. But sometimes when you get this far out, I think it's probably best to have separate access for each lot. That way you don't have to worry about the maintenance between these two guys if they only have one access and that type of thing. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
You want to respond to that?
Sure. So in regards to the 60-foot right-of-way dedication, that is correct. 60 foot is what is in our subdivision regulations, but we also have in there at arterial intersections with section lines that we do increase the right-of-way width to 75 foot. And I put the dimensions in here with the distances with a corner clip, and it's a shall include that right-of-way. That's the way it's worded in the subdivision regulations. That's pretty standard across the county. Whether we're close to the city or if we're far out, we typically get that. As far as the access controls on this are well beyond the county standard for access controls. Our spacing is 660 foot for full movements. When we get near the city of Wichita, we reduce that to 400 foot because that is the city of Wichita standard. And so what we have depicted here is even beyond the city of Wichita's standard for access controls, especially considering that the locations are not locked down. For instance, it just says, 328 foot of complete access control except one opening. So that opening could go anywhere along that frontage. And that would include being directly adjacent to another one on the adjacent lot. And so access controls are something that we try to generally follow our spacing. There are safety aspects to that. It also helps with decision-making along roadways, and then it also affects the other side of the roadways, because when a property develops on the other side of these arterial streets, we will try to line up those openings with the existing driveways.
So, based on what you've both said, if a motion included something to the effect that you can work this out between you, will that work, or do you not see a solution to this?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Kirk, but I think we would like to do shared access driveways, but I don't know. I don't think that's what your client is wanting at this point. They're wanting to keep separate access openings to each individual property.
The shared access, like I said before, becomes an issue of who maintains it. And when you look at the size of these lots, they're 5-acre lots. They're single-family houses on there is what they'll be, because that's all you're allowed in. It's a rural residential area. So all you can do is a single-family house. So it's not like these are subdivisions that have 10 houses back there right now that you have to worry about the access. And as far as the spacing on some of these lots, I mean, if we get an access for each lot, I'll be glad to work with Daniel on where he wants to put those access points, where he can get them, where he likes the spacing better than what we're proposing. I think the two lots he was talking about are 4 and 5, where we just said access control except one opening. So we could narrow those down for him if he wants.
Yeah, I think we can get that narrowed down. Lot 1, I think would definitely be good to get that limited to one opening up there, or have the spacing. But I would point out that the required distance in the access management policy that has been signed by the Board of County Commissioners, we won't be able to meet that requirement based on the lot layout. We would not be able to get there.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments?
I had mentioned either that opening or that opening for lot 1, and if there was a way to put a note on the plat that depending on how it develops, they could only have one of those openings. And I don't know if the staff can probably answer if that's something we can do. So that we'd only have one access to lot 1.
I've never seen it put on a plat that way. I don't see, there might be some wording we could work out. Yeah, it could probably have some unique text to ensure one can only be used.
Okay, I have a question. Have you gotten into this far enough to know if they're going to be able to hook onto the rural water district?
I don't know that answer.
You don't think so?
I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay.
That's something that the owner's going to have to deal with them on.
Well, you know the problem we've been having with wells everywhere, so yeah. It would be nice if you could hook onto the water district. Any other comments?
Kirk Sponsel, Deputy County Councilor. Just for some clarification and discussion on the process here, we currently have the application where it was listed as no modification waivers were requested. However, based off of the comments of County Public Works, comments here today during the discussion, sounds like a modification waiver would be required. Just to what I'm hearing, it sounds like some things are are still being decided, still being assembled. And so as part of the subdivision regs, it says that a request for the modification of design criteria shall be made to the planning department. The planning department shall then transmit the request to the planning commission. So I think if we're really discussing having a modification, which isn't even solidified yet at this level, if there is a modification request, it may be more appropriate if a deferral were made on this item. But I would defer a little bit to the applicant on how they want to proceed. But I see Public Works looking at me as well.
So on that, is it a modification because of the right of way or because of the access controls? I don't know if we typically have that modification for the access open.
Okay, let me clarify. You were saying the 75 feet change was a shall. Was that within our subdivision regs? Okay, then that would be the modification waiver. Now, separately, there is some discussion about the how certain applications shall be subject to the Sedgwick County Access Management Policy. In that case, that separate issue, I agree with you that based off of Section 11 in our regs and interpretations, we cannot waive that access management policy. I agree with you there. I was talking about the other item where it sounds like we have some discussion that's still going on, but if we are wanting to do any type of modification waiver for any portion of this, I think that it should go through the appropriate process and should be formally requested.
Can I formally request it right now?
I think the issue is it's not in the staff report, like it was not contemplated before.
Right, and my understanding is it's not even formal right now. What's, all the fine details of this.
So I guess I'm asking staff, is this the appropriate solution, is to defer this?
It sounds, I would say yes, based on the regulations, but also just observing, it looks like there are substantial differences in opinion or in terms of the regs and what the applicant would like to do, so.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? See none. I will make the motion that we defer this 2 weeks. Is enough?
And I apologize, Kirk Sponson, Deputy County Councilor again. Point of clarification, has there been any type of waiver of the 60-day requirement for resolution of the item, Scott?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so then I would ask the applicant if they are willing to waive that 60-day determination requirement.
The 60-day requirement is, if we can work this out and get on the next subdivision meeting, is that waiving the 60-day requirement?
Days from this meeting to be approved from the planning commission.
Oh, okay.
Just for everyone's knowledge,
okay,
this is a state statute, and I believe it's contained in the subdivision regulations as well. That requires that a case from the date, now Greg, you'll have to correct me if I get it wrong, but I believe it's from the date of the first meeting when this is considered, they have 60 days. There needs to be a decision made on the case.
And Kirk Sponson, Deputy County Councilor, the specific language is the subdivision committee shall approve or disapprove the one-step plat within 60 days from the date of the filing of the plat, or the plat shall be deemed to have been approved unless such time is extended by mutual consent. So the question would be, is the applicant willing, at least for a partial deferral, an extension of the time frame in order to work on the issues?
Well, if Daniel and I work this out before the next meeting, we still will be within that 60 days, won't we? Okay. Daniel, is there any reason we can't work this out? Or we can come up to the next subdivision meeting and let them decide who's right.
Yeah, I think we just plan on the next subdivision meeting.
Yeah. We'll just do next subdivision meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
To continue my motion, I move we defer this till the next subdivision commission meeting, which is what date?
And that would be February 20th.
February 20th. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Zimmelman, a second by Commissioner Mader. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. We're done.